Welcome to the Alcohol Free Life podcast, brought to you by thesoberclub.com. I'm Janie Lee Grace. This is for you if you've quit the booze or you'd like to, or maybe you're just sober curious. I'll bring you tips and motivation without any judgment, and there'll be inspiration from experts, quit-lit authors, and sober heroes. Hi and welcome to the podcast, and I hope you've had a good week. I feel like I've been mega busy again, all the usual stuff, but actually it's been quite an interesting week. I've done a few bits and pieces that have reminded me of yet again of all the holistic health stuff that I've been doing for years. I mean, I think I've mentioned that, you know, it's nearly 20 years since my first book came out, Imperfectly Natural Woman. It's 20 years old next March. That's incredible, isn't it? Oh man, alive. And you know, when I think back of the stuff that I was talking about in that book, I was definitely ahead of my time. But over the years, I think I've probably forgotten some of my own stuff, you know, and I certainly haven't been putting everything in place that I spoke about in that book. So this has been a really interesting week. I went to a great event organised by a colleague, Philly J. Lay. I spoke at the Wellness Way Festival in the summer, and Philly did a wellness hub event. And there were some fantastic speakers there, and I was just reminded of so many of the things that I spoke about 20 years ago. But of course, you know, they've evolved. All of these topics have evolved. So there was a whole session on electromagnetic frequencies and, you know, how we can work with what we've got, because, you know, let's face it, none of us are going to ditch our phones, are we, anytime soon? But, you know, there was also a great session on the importance of sleep, which again is something I talk about a lot with clients. So many people, when they quit alcohol, have real issues with sleeping. It's not that they didn't before, they probably did. It's just that, you know, it was kind of masked by the fact that the alcohol meant that they just crashed. But our perception then is that, oh, now I've stopped drinking, my sleep is worse. No, it isn't. It's just what it really is. Let's get back to, you know, making sure that you really can get restorative sleep. And I was reminded actually that it is those early hours, those first hours of the night when you're meant to get the kind of the good, you know, the REM sleep, the good decent sleep cycles. And the earlier you go to bed for that, the better, really. But certainly you're meant to have a couple of hours before midnight, really. Certainly kind of 10:30 is the magic time. Now, I mean, if you'd have said that to me when I was still drinking, I'd just laughed at you. But, you know, now that I'm a sober rock star, you see those memes, don't you? Like sitting in bed at 9 o'clock with a cup of cocoa and the Lakeland catalogue. I'm still a sober rock star. But it's true, you know, we really are meant to get that REM sleep earlier, rather than sort of crash into bed after staring at screens at midnight. We're meant to wind down. It's so important. We're really meant to have that wind down time. Anyways, on that note, if sleep is a thing for you, I do have a PDF which shows lots of fabulous tips and recipes and various bits and pieces that you can do. So you can download that. It's just a free PDF at thesoberclub.com. So do check that out. And then also we were chatting about at this event. Again, I kind of reconnected with all the stuff I used to talk about regarding water and water quality. And oh man, is that a big topic? It really is. I'll save that for another time. I'll get a guest on if it's something that interests you. Because, you know, we've quit the booze. There's something just so magical about realizing that once people quit the booze, they become so open to what's next in terms of their optimum well-being. And it is optimum well-being we're talking about. You know, there's absolutely zero point in just sort of taking a pill for every ill, you know, sort of feeling a bit sluggish, feeling a bit this, a bit that. Oh, I'll pop along and just get a pill for that. No, we need to kind of find the root cause, find out what's going wrong. And often, you know, I mean, let's be clear, when you quit alcohol, it really does help to clear a lot of things up. It really does. It makes such a massive difference when you take away that level of toxicity. But it's not instant. It doesn't mean that every single thing will immediately be perfect, because once the alcohol's been removed and your body can finally stop having to produce those antitoxins to mop it up all the while, what happens then is we get to see what's really going on. We get to focus on what else needs addressing. The body is really great at wanting to heal itself. It wants to heal itself. It really does. And given the right conditions, it will. So, once we quit alcohol, often start to become really interested in, well, what really is the good nutrition? What supplements do I really need? What mindset do I need? How much sleep? How much exercise? It's all of that, isn't it, really? It's exciting. And, we never stop learning. I feel as though the more learning I do, the more there is to do on optimum health and well-being for sure. Anyways, if all of this stuff interests you, join us in the Sober Club, because we have a massive library of incredible exclusive content, and it is all exclusive. I do know I'm very fortunate to get guests who will do sessions for our Sober Club members, and there's some amazing stuff there. So there's pretty much everything you can think of around health and well-being within the Sober Club. So it's and of course, if you want to quit alcohol, well, obviously that's what will help you do as well. So do think about joining us if you're interested in well-being. Whether you're day one, sober curious, or whether you've been sober for years, it really is all about that well-being piece. Yes, anyways, quick reminder, Monday, the 8th of December, I think a few tickets have been released for our event. It's a live podcast recording. I'm going to be chatting to none other than Andy Ramage, the fabulous Andy Ramage. Really looking forward to it. It's at Club Soda. It'll be a really great chance just to meet like-minded people. As I'm sure most of you know, it's a small venue. So if you're nervous, oh God, I haven't really been to anything like that, and I'm coming on my own, I promise you'll be okay. Drop me a message, tell me you're coming on your own. I'll make sure someone meets you, and makes you feel welcome. You will feel welcome, I promise you. Great venue, great to be surrounded by alcohol-free drinks. And there's an opportunity as well if you do want to buy drinks on the night. I think there's a 10% discount or something like that, so you could stock up for Christmas. Also, if you're coming to that, then bring a bit of cash, because I'm gonna have some fabulous well-being stuff. I'm probably going to do a raffle, actually, because as you know, I have with my other hat on, I'm doing this fundraising challenge where I'm doing this Strictly Come Hospice thing. I think I mentioned it last week. Oh man, I'm realizing I'm really quite unfit. I think I like to think that I'm relatively fit with the bits of exercise, and I do quite a lot of yoga, and I do a lot of walking, and I do a little bit of dancing, but doing this has really made me realize I need to up my game. While I embarrass myself hobbling through these steps, please consider making a donation to the charity. It really is an amazing charity, the Rennie Grove Peace Hospice. I couldn't believe it when I realized how much money they need just to kind of keep going and doing the brilliant work they do. So I've got a Just Giving page. I'll put the link in the show notes, and any donation is welcome. Really, anything. You don't need to spend a lot of money. Just a few quid makes a really big difference. I so appreciate that. And on the night when we do the thing on the 8th, I've got some absolutely wonderful kind of gifts that I'm going to do a little raffle for. So if you bring a bit of cash, then that would be amazing if you're coming along. I'm really looking forward to meeting some of you there. And then the week after that, we've got another webinar. What's it mean to be a sober coach? I did one last Monday. It was so great being in I was going to say a Zoom room, an online room with people who are all enthusiastic about their sobriety. There's such an energy there. There definitely is that thing, isn't there, that you're the sum total of the 6 people you hang around with, as it were. I think it was Jim Rohn who said that way back when. And it is true. When you find yourself kind of with people, and the whole time it's about complaining and being negative, it just dulls everything. And when you literally raise your frequency and you're around people who are positive, who are enthusiastic, it's so good for you. You can literally feel it lifting your spirits. And we had a fabulous session. Everyone on that session has been sober for a while. and they're excited about sobriety, and they're excited about what's next, what their purpose might be. So it was a good session. Everyone kind of weighing up, look, what am I going to do now then? I've done this hard thing. My life has changed. People were sharing just how their life had changed. And honestly, it's incredible. And it never ceases to amaze me, the things people do once they've quit alcohol, and just how incredible their life becomes. And obviously, some of them are thinking about supporting other people, giving back, wanting to do some kind of work around either sober coaching or workshops or retreats. And of course, we cover all that in the Sober Coach training. So we're going to do another webinar, if that's of interest for you, another one on Monday, the 15th of December. If you are interested in all of this, our next course is at the end of January. It starts with 2 days in person, and then it's followed by 5 weeks online. And I think there's 3 spaces left. So it would be amazing if any of our listeners wanted to join us for that. Anyways, without further ado, we're talking this week yet again about self-love and mindset. It's something we talk about all the while, isn't it, really? Self-care, how to take good care of yourself. But this particular guest, I thought, would be so fascinating for us because she's a chartered psychologist. She really knows her stuff. And yet what she's kind of put a spin on the whole people pleasing thing. And the title of her book is How to Be Selfish. So as you can imagine, I absolutely love the whole idea of that. Not because I want to be a selfish person in that respect of the word, but because I now realize, after so many years of not realizing, that self-care really isn't selfish. It's absolutely essential. On that note, by the way, looking ahead to next February, I'm going to be doing another extreme self-care retreat at Homefield Grange. So if that interests you, look out for the date. Would you like to become an accredited sober coach? Have you quit drinking and found yourself looking for a new purpose? Thousands of people are searching for help to quit and live their best life without the booze. Our Sober Coach training gives you the tools, the confidence, and the community to support others. No experience needed, except knowing what it feels like to have drunk more than you wanted to. We start with 2 transformational in-person days. Then you join our coaches family with ongoing support and webinars to help you use your skills in ways that suit you. If you're already a coach or a therapist, this could be an in-demand extra string to your bow, or a whole new career opportunity as a Sober Club accredited coach. For more info, visit thesoberclub.com and click on the Become a Sober Coach menu item. My guest is Suzy Redding, a chartered psychologist and one of the UK's leading self-care and self-advocacy experts. I mean, you've got so many great books, Suzy. I don't know where to start, really. But what caught my eye was seeing the title of the new one, hot off the press, How to Be Selfish. I mean, I absolutely love it. But before we get into all of that, and happy to chat about your other books, because so much of the stuff you do is really relevant to the people listening to this, I think. But just take us back a bit. Have you got any kind of story to share? Because it's usually something that means that people end up doing the work they do.
Sure. Okay. So I would have said, up until the last couple of years, I would have said that it was my life experience colliding with the terminal illness of my father and becoming a mum all at the same time that set me on a path to empower people with the tools of self-care, which made really beautiful sense of my qualifications. So I'm a chartered psychologist. I also spent a decade working as a personal trainer, and I'm also a yoga teacher. So self-care was the thing that kind of brought all of those different skills together. But I think it was when perimenopause hit that I realized that life lesson that I learnt becoming a mum, losing dad, was much, much bigger than self-care. It was actually a lesson in self-advocacy. And I think I'd become quite skilled in taking care of self, of nurturing self, as well at the same time as being the good girl, taking care of everyone else. But when perimenopause hit, I realized that it was time for me to start to receive. I needed to live like I matter as well. So that is where How to Be Selfish came from.
Right.
Having to learn that, I've got to, people aren't good mind readers.
So okay, let's dig into
Yeah,
that a bit more then. So
yeah,
I'm seeing the subtle difference. It's one thing to decide, okay, I'm actually going to, rest this afternoon, or I'm going to have a face mask, or I'm going to run a nice bath with essential oils, or whatever it is. But it's something else being able to actually ask for help and support.
it is. It is.
Right.
And I think that a lot of people will have got to a point where they feel more comfortable with nurturing self. I would still argue that there's still a lot of guilt and shame around turning attention inwards and prioritizing self. But I think we've made some progress there. But there is a missing piece of the puzzle here where a lot of women and a lot of men don't feel like it's okay to show up honestly in relationship, to voice feelings, to voice needs, and to lean on others. And I certainly learnt the hard way that I need it for my health, but I don't just need it for my health. I actually need it for the health and well-being of my relationships.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so
With
true.
reciprocity.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when I think back to, and it's not just me, a lot of the clients that I work with will say the same thing, that their drinking, for example, ramps up when the kids are young because they're going at it 24/7. They're exhausted, literally, working and sometimes caring for elderly parents. And they've got young kids and they're trying to hold it all together and they're trying to keep the house okay and on and on and on. And you're absolutely right. We can talk to them about, well, factor in some time for self-care, so when the baby, we always hear, don't we, when our kids are young, when the baby has a nap, you nap. Oh, for God's sake, seriously, do you know how many jobs I've got to do when the baby had a nap all those years ago? So you're
Yeah.
right, we can encourage them to, and we probably do spend a lot of time encouraging them to take out a little bit of time for self-care, which is what I used to think of as the glass of wine. I used to think of my self-care, but actually would have been much harder to pause and think, what I actually need is I need help and I need support.
Yes.
But what you said
Yes.
earlier was really true as well. People aren't mind readers. So we can tend to
Yeah.
get really fed up that we're not getting the support that we think we need and feel quite
Yes.
resentful, but we
Yes.
haven't made it clear. So how do we
Yes.
do that?
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. This is a skill. And I would say that actually half the battle is reconnecting with self, because we are distracted and disconnected left, right, and center by what that person needs, by that beeping gadget, by this pinging notification.
Mm.
How seldom do we actually allow ourselves to tune inwards? And for a lot of people, that would be shame inducing. So half the battle is seeing through these untruths that we've been told, that we must be selfless, that we can't be selfish, that we can't need others, that we can't focus on self. We've got to see through those things and question them, hold them up to the light. Once we've done that, once we've given ourselves permission to take a look, then we need to connect. What's going on? Where are we at? What do we need? And for so many people, we're so focused on the needs of others, we don't even know. We feel a bit lost. So there's a process of re-education. There's a reclaiming of our attention. There's becoming alive to our senses again. There's also a sense of we need to reclaim the right to feel, because our emotions are cues to our human needs. So there's a scaffolding of skills, and that's why I wanted to create the 7 steps to taking back our power, to sort of walk people through. There's this foundational skill. You've got to be able to direct your attention first before you can notice what's going on. And then once you've connected and you've noticed, now we need to build the skills that will help us feel safe and confident to actually give voice to what it is that we've observed. So I want to acknowledge it is challenging, but it is absolutely a skill that we can all learn.
Yeah. So step one then is connecting with self.
Step
That's
one
really
is
important.
Step one is getting our mind on side.
Mm.
Okay, we've got to hold up to these self-limiting beliefs that if I give people nourishing practices, or if I say it's okay to lean on, we're not going to do any of these things until we've held these beliefs up to the light. So it's getting our mind on side and making sure that our beliefs are contingent with what allows us to be healthy, whole individuals. And part of that is also noticing that there's a distinct difference between thoughts and self-talk. Thoughts come to us. We don't choose them. So it's okay to stop trying to massage them because you don't control them. However, we do control our self-talk. It does get automatic, but this is the starting point. We've got to get our self-talk on side so that we can actually start to heal our relationship with self.
So just explain the difference, though, because between some people would say, well, if I have a thought and it's, I'm not good enough, that is self-talk. Where's the difference?
No. The first thought that comes to you, you haven't chosen it. That's just something that's come out of thin air.
Yeah.
What you then say to yourself in response to that thought, that is your self-talk.
Yeah.
Okay? Fundamental difference. You don't control the first thing, but you do have influence over how you interact with that first thought.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think people don't, I think we underestimate just how damaging our self-talk can be. And I would suggest that negative, punitive, judgmental and critical self-talk is a form of self-harm.
Yeah.
And we need to learn how to speak to ourselves with dignity and respect.
Yeah, I've mentioned a few times on this show that I'm a Hay House author, and there was an event with Cheryl Richardson and Louise Hay, which was absolutely amazing.
Oh, amazing!
Yeah, it was amazing. But I always remember Cheryl Richardson talk because as you know, Louise Hay does mirror work and encourages all to look in the mirror, which is not terribly British, in fairness. But she was kind of saying that the reality is certainly the average woman, when she goes and looks in the mirror in the morning, before something important, let's say, for sake of argument, if she were to speak out loud the self-talk, she'd probably be had for abuse, particularly if there was a child in the room. We say terrible things to ourselves. You're absolutely right. It's very harmful because we forget that we're listening. And the interesting piece is we would never say those to anyone else. Because generally, when you ask someone, do you think you're quite a kind person? Oh, yeah, I'm really kind to other people. Probably you are. It's really true. It's fascinating, isn't it?
And it's a fundamental starting point, isn't it? Because if you think about it, your self-talk is like the soundtrack of life.
Yeah.
It's so ever present. So that's why I want to get our mind on side. But it's a little bit different to what people think. It's not that first thought. It doesn't matter what that first thought is. And I think that can be really freeing.
Yeah.
Because it can be a humdinger. I tell you what, I have the most ridiculous, catastrophic, toxic first thoughts. But that's just what the brain does.
Yeah.
We don't have to eradicate it. The key is don't invest your identity in that.
Sure.
You get to choose who you are.
Yeah. So for people who are sort of brand new to this concept, then what's one of the quick reminders that they can use to help themselves not get back into that negative self-talk, get out of the spiral?
We need some circuit breakers. I think that's as a psychologist, yoga teacher, PT, I really like somatic practices. I like these physical practices that give us something to anchor on, that bring us back to the moment. The one that I'd love to show is the face hug.
Okay, you have to describe it as
Janie,
well, though.
Do you want to try? Do you want to join?
Yeah, I will. I absolutely will. But you'll have to describe it for anyone who's just listening rather than watching us.
So what we need to do to begin the face hug, we need to rub our hands gently together to create a little bit of warmth.
Mm-hmm.
And what we're going to do is very tenderly, and that is key, tenderly cradle our chin in our hands.
Mm-hmm.
So welcome to the face hug.
Nice.
There's a lovely sense of containment, just noticing how nice it feels to be held. And with this gesture, we are saying to ourselves that we are deserving of kindness. That same compassion that we extend, the same kindness that we generously give to everyone else. It's not a transgression of our values to allow that to be turned inwards. It's actually a more authentic, complete expression of our values. And a couple of relaxed breaths there, just noticing how nice it feels.
Yeah, I love that.
To be held. And what I notice is it is impossible to trash talk myself while I do that.
While you're doing it. Absolutely. Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? How you can literally use your mind, your body to affect your mind. Yeah, I love it.
You can, exactly.
Love
and
it.
If you can't just break out into a face hug, I get it. You might be in the middle of a meeting. We can always anchor ourselves with the hand on heart gesture.
Yeah.
And I find that does the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose these tools are brilliant, aren't they, for when we're in that sort of overwhelm, that sort of anxiety mode, we're about to fight or flee or
Yes.
whatever, because we
Yes.
get like that so often and we just need to bring ourselves back to balance. I mean, if someone is a really big worrier,
Hmm.
I suppose it's imperative, isn't it, to find tools to manage that because what is worrying ultimately it's pointless, isn't it? Utterly pointless.
It is. It is. And for anyone that worries, I want them to be gentle with themselves because I think what worry speaks to is actually the fact that they have a giant heart.
Mm,
They care so much. So instead of it just staying as a worry, why don't we turn the worry into some kind of well wish or some kind of a prayer for what we want?
yeah, an
But it's all
intention.
right to
Yeah,
have
I
that
love it.
thought. Again, so like a worried thought, it comes to you. You don't choose it. But instead of
Mm,
then just wallowing in this worry, we
yeah,
can say, I really don't want that to happen. What do I want? And I wish for that to happen. I send that person my best wishes. And it speaks to giant care. And isn't that a beautiful thing? We don't want
yeah,
to get rid of that. But
yeah,
instead of, being in the quagmire of worry, we can bathe in that beautiful reservoir of love and care.
yeah, I
Feels
love
totally
it.
different, doesn't it?
It really does. It really
Yeah.
does. So just give us a quick overview of what's in the book then in
Okay.
how to be selfish.
So, How to Be Selfish, it is a deep dive helping us understand why we've come to believe certain things about selfishness and selflessness. It
Mm,
challenges everything that we've been led to believe. So, it's redefining our relationship with these things. We look at the cultural underpinnings as to why we feel as we do about focusing on self. So, our gender conditioning, how we rear children, more modern messaging about resilience, gratitude, post traumatic growth, which these concepts used in the right moments are fantastic, but used in the wrong moments, they can really silence people and make people feel really guilty for struggling.
mm,
Once we've got a good snapshot of why we feel as we do, then we've got the chance to think and feel and choose differently. So, the second part of the book is looking at this 7-step practice to helping us build the skills of self advocacy so that we can have these difficult conversations, we can be more transparent, and we can finally receive.
yeah, love it, love it. I must mention as well, I wish I'd had it in front of me, but you also wrote self-care for winter. Yeah,
Yes.
so as that's very
Yes.
pertinent now, can you give us a couple of tips from
I
that
would
book?
love to give some tips to help us navigate the cold and dark months ahead.
Mm.
And if there's
It is
anything that
it
we
is
can
depressing,
do,
isn't it? Not having enough light. It
it
honestly
is,
is. I
it
really do
has,
find myself feeling so miserable.
you're absolutely spot on, Janie. It has a tangible impact on
Yeah,
our body mind. And, when you look at how the plant and animal world respond to their environmental cues, why do us human beings expect ourselves to be bright eyed and bushy tailed all year round without,
yeah,
like we're immune? The fact is, it has a really significant impact on us. But rather than just noticing all of those things that we don't like, which I think culminates in some kind of winter dread, I want to validate the things that we find challenging and acknowledge, yes, those things are hard, but let's also broaden our perspective to think about some of those things that we really love about this time of year. What are the joys unique to winter that we can savor? And
mm,
just a little bit of gentle anticipation will really help us embark on winter feeling differently about it. I think it's about changing our relationship with it. But then we need a very specific toolkit, one that's going to help us compensate for the fact there is a lack of daylight, and
yeah,
that has a really tangible impact on serotonin, melatonin production, vitamin D, which has an impact on our mood, our immune health, how much energy you have. The fact is, we want to sleep more. We need more sleep in winter. So the toolkit that I've developed is to help us compensate for these things. But I think there are 3 broad tips that I can offer up, Janie, if that would be helpful.
yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. Now, these 3 tips are going to help us honor the impulse to want to hibernate, but in a life giving way, because we can't just shut down like the brown bear. Modern life won't let us do that, nor would it be good for us. We don't need to hibernate in that way. But there is that impulse to turn inwards, isn't there?
Yeah,
So, my 3 suggestions would be, yes, let's hibernate, but let's not stagnate. So I think we probably need sort of like an alternation between a bit of cocooning, but also some exposure to daylight. We've got to still get out there. We need to keep moving our bodies. So hibernate, don't stagnate. My second suggestion is, yes, honor that deep desire for comfort, but can we comfort ourselves in ways that doesn't sabotage us? So let's broaden what we think of as comfort. It's not always what we eat and drink. Comfort comes in the form of loving touch, a weighted blanket, a layering of light in our homes. Fairy lights aren't just for Christmas. Please keep them up until April. Can we use scent? That's another way of giving comfort. And the final one, and this is really important, yes to retreating, but make sure you're not isolating yourself, because people need people. And it's fine if our social mojo looks different. It's all right if you don't want to go out of an evening, but how can we connect in different ways that makes sure that we're not vulnerable to loneliness?
Yeah, I love that. And you're absolutely right. There are many joys of the winter months, aren't there? And
There are.
just mentioning the lovely
Yes.
blankets and
Yes.
which you're not going to have in the summer, right? In
No.
fact, there's the whole, is it called hygge, the whole Scandinavian
Yes.
kind of tradition where everything is candles and blankets and
Yes.
and being cozy, really. It's literally being cozy. Fluffy
Yep.
socks, isn't it, really?
Yes.
Let's face it. So, I mean, the reality is, I kind of moan about it, but by the same token, I would not want to live somewhere where there were no seasons. I really wouldn't.
Yes. It gives
I'd
us
go
rhythm and
crazy.
pulse, doesn't it,
Yeah,
Janie?
it
Yeah.
really does. I'd
We
go
need this
crazy.
variation.
Yeah, we really
Yeah.
do. And I think, with everything you're saying, it's totally my philosophy is that we have to put a spin on everything and ask what it is we do want, rather than focusing on what we don't. That's ultimately
Yes.
it, isn't it? That kind of,
Yes.
okay, well, it's going to be winter whether you like it or not. So let's focus on the good bits.
Yes. Yeah.
That's really exciting. I think that those little, thinking of those little pieces where you can, as you say, nurture yourself. Tell us about the Nourish app.
Oh, so the Nourish app. The Nourish app was created for mums by mums, and there's a free version. It's a really affordable app that has all sorts of nourishing practices for mums. So on there, I've contributed some yoga sequences, some mantras, some coping tools. There's a really gorgeous section of yoga nidras. I don't know if you're
Lovely.
familiar with that, Janie.
Absolutely.
Love a
I've
yoga
got
nidra.
some too. Yeah, relaxation. For
Yes.
anyone who's not aware of it, it means you don't have to move at all.
You get to
You
just lie
literally
back
just
and receive.
rest.
Yeah.
In
And
fact,
if
don't they
anyone has
say
trouble
that it's
falling asleep, listen
it's
to a yoga
perfect.
nidra. I fall asleep in every one,
I
honestly.
know.
You're not meant to,
But
and it
don't
doesn't
they
matter if
say
you do.
that even like an hour of it is equivalent to like 4 hours kip or something? It's meant to
It's
be amazing.
really deeply
Yeah.
restorative. Yes.
Great. Oh, that sounds
Yeah.
fantastic. Wonderful. So what's next for you then, Suzy? Obviously you're prolific in the books you've written. That's amazing how many books you've written. It's very cool. What else have you got going on if that's not enough?
Oh, do you know what? I'm really excited to see How to Be Selfish land. So it's yet to hit the stores. So, it'll be interesting to see what blooms from that. It's my first book with Penguin. So I'm hoping there'll be an opportunity for more. I think what I loved most about this process is that I got to voice the audiobook for myself for the very first
You
time.
have to do that, don't you? It's
I've
a
never
roast
had that
though. It's a
opportunity
roast,
before.
isn't it? How hard is
It's
it? Oh, it's
it's
very
really
annoying.
challenging.
I know, isn't
But
it?
what I really loved is that How to Be Selfish, there are love notes throughout it, and I loved reading those.
Mm.
And I think if I could create some kind of resource that is literally from start to finish, just a kind, nurturing, supportive voice, sharing something that you can anchor yourself on. So I'm wondering whether, some kind of project around feeling safe. I'm feeling drawn to do that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I'm open to where I'm drawn next as well. So this is
it's
exciting.
It is really exciting. And I love the title. It's it just puts that different spin on it, doesn't it? Because we do still think of the word selfish as, oh, that's nasty, and oh, you mustn't be like that. But there is a completely different way of looking at it. And it took me years before I kind of understood the whole self-care piece. As I say, I used to get very confused into thinking that alcohol was my treat. And I had absolutely zero boundaries around saying yes. I would just say yes to everything and then hope that it wouldn't come around,
Yes.
And people just kind of, I think the more we can kind of catch on to this sooner. You don't have to be as old as I am before you finally kind of get, oh, for God's sake, it is okay to say no. No is a complete
Yes.
sentence, in fact. I love that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
brilliant.
It's not unkind to have limits.
Yeah,
This is
exactly.
human. Human needs
Exactly.
are not a nice to have. These are our human needs. These are
Yeah,
our
exactly.
feelings. This is
I
this is what it
suppose
means to be human.
totally. I suppose the difficulty for some people, sorry, I know we're kind of winding up, but I just thought of this. The difficulty for some people is that it's so ingrained in them to
Mm.
be people pleasers
Yes.
that they almost don't know where to start with themselves. I
Yes.
remember some years ago I was doing some one-day retreats, and I remember asking the women who'd come, and who were not part of my community. They'd just come, I think, because they wanted to do an in-person thing. And I just started off by asking, what is it that you want for you? And one by one, they all said, oh, my mum to get better or my son to get into a certain school. And I said, no, no, I said, for you.
You.
And oh God, I mean, a couple of them burst into tears. They'd not been asked that question. They'd certainly not thought about it properly for
Yes.
years and years and years, because
Yes.
it's just when you're caught up in the minutiae of life and focused on everyone else and everything else, it does feel like, well, that would be a luxury I can't afford to think
Yeah.
about what I want for me.
Yeah.
But it's key, isn't it? It's absolutely key because,
It
as you
is.
say, I mean, I know they're all cliches, but you actually can't fill from an empty cup. You just can't. Cliche
Yes.
or no cliche happens to be true, right?
Yes. And if you think about how many other cups you've spent your entire life filling,
Yeah, yes.
why? Why? Why
Yeah,
is it not okay for us to allow someone else to fill our cup too?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think,
Keep giving. Keep
yeah.
giving. I'm not saying be stingy and miserly and
Mm,
stop caring for others. I'm not saying that for a minute. I am saying keep filling your cup, keep
yeah,
tending to others, but let's allow others to also top us up.
yeah,
They need
absolutely.
that. They want to feel valued. They want to feel needed. They want to feel trusted.
Yeah.
We're
Well, the
actually doing
whole,
them a disservice by saying, no, you're not
exactly,
welcome to,
because the whole concept of kindness is good for you. The person
Yes,
giving you something
it's
will
an
actually
exchange.
gets more. In fact, I think science shows, doesn't it?
It does. It
Amazing.
does.
Yeah, I love it. Fantastic stuff, Susie. Thank you so much for being my guest. So, there's a whole bunch of books, but the brand new one is How to Be Selfish. I think while you're getting it, you can pick up Self-Care for Winter as well. Sounds like some fabulous tips in there. And do you want to give us a website, Susie, for people to check
Yes,
out
it's
anything
it
else?
it suzyreading.co.uk, or come and hang out with me at Instagram. I put a love note up daily. I want
Nice.
them to
Okay.
feel like warm hugs,
Ah,
and there's
cool.
a beautiful community there. My love note is just one of the little nice bits. All the comments, there's so many kind exchanges in the comments. So come and hang out with me there. It's again just Suzy Reading.
Yeah, I love it. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
Such a pleasure. Thank you.
We'll put all those links in the show notes. And just another reminder then that there's a few tickets left for Monday, 8th of December at Club Soda. And also, if you are interested in our webinar, Explore a Career as a Sober Coach, that's Monday, 15th of December. You do have to register. So for all of that, just go to thesoberclub.com /events and just click on the dates there. There will be another constellations put in place as well at some point. Haven't quite got a date just yet. And what I'm definitely going to be doing is a Bossing Your Christmas Sober webinar, because I think there's lots of people who, if it's your first sober Christmas, it can feel stressful. I can't deny, and it feels like it's starting already, doesn't it? The kind of chaos, the kind of frenzied activity. So, it's so important to be able to bring yourself back to calm and get prepped for your sober Christmas, whatever stage you're at. So I will be doing a webinar around that. I'll let you know the dates. And also, very early January, I'm going to do a setting your intentions for the new year. I've been doing this for a few years. It's usually a really great workshop session. We do it online, but it really is it's not sort of me chatting to you. It's you with your workbooks out, properly setting your intentions. So if you're someone who starts thinking about your intentions in December, then this one will be for you. But we'll share all of those dates in due course. Just a reminder, if you are if you're early days, if you're just quitting the booze now, maybe you did October and you've carried it through, just give yourself such a big hug. I mean, really, honestly, just pat yourself on the back. It's the best thing you'll ever do, and keep going. Don't quit before Christmas. Just keep going. Just ride it through, because it's like a prize that just keeps giving. It just gets better all of the time. Yeah, I haven't said that for ages, have I? I always used to say the phrase, it's, sobriety is the gift that keeps on giving. Such is such a naff phrase, isn't it? I will still offer a nice prize if someone can think of a better way of saying it that really does mean the same thing, really does, sort of describe what it's like. The fact that every single year of sobriety is better than the last. There's always just new blessings that you just would never have imagined. So anyways, if you're at the very early days, that will be hard for you to imagine right now. So just get all the support you need. Of course, I'd love it if you wanted to join us in the Sober Club, thesoberclub.com, but do whatever works for you. But do tell someone. If you're the kind of person, you're like, oh, I'm not going to join a club, I'm not going to tell anyone, my partner, it supports me, that's all I need. Well, that's fine. But tell someone else, tell someone who can give you that layer of accountability, who can hold you accountable. You're very welcome to message me just on any of the platforms at Janie Lee Grace. I'm very easy to find. I promise you, if I get your message, I will reply. I'll hold that vision for you. And the fact that you've told me will then add that extra little layer. So then when the wine witch comes calling, oh, well, I'll start tomorrow, there'll be a little part of you that go, I only just messaged Janie to tell her I was doing this. So it just gives that extra kind of layer of accountability. And if you are a people pleaser, well, you can please me by doing that, right? So it's really worth telling someone else. And that is the beauty of our Sober Club community, because we cheerlead each other, whatever we've got going on. Of course, for those people in the early days of sobriety, we're cheering them on at every stage. And then for people who've been sober for months and for years, well, there's something else that we're cheering them on for, I do think that when you're sober, it makes you more kind. It makes you a little bit more, I don't know, generous in spirit. I remember years ago when I was in various different workplaces and communities, there was always this sense that, oh, I'm not sure I necessarily want other people to succeed. It sounds terrible, doesn't it? But I know there'll be other people resonate with that awful sense of competitiveness. And then I remember learning that lovely phrase, comparison is the thief of joy. And then I also realized that, actually, when you're authentic, when you're comfortable in your own skin, when you really feel as though you can actually like yourself, you want everyone else to succeed. It's so different. There's no longer that sense of I don't know, jealousy or resentment. It's, for me, it is absolutely the most exciting thing to see people reach their potential and feel better and look better. And I just love it. It's literally what lights me up. So yeah, come and join us in the Sober Club, or just reach out and tell somebody that you're doing this. And I'll see you next week. Thank you for listening to the Alcohol Free Life podcast, brought to you by the Sober Club. Please rate and review. And if you want support, accountability and inspiration, and you want to live your best life without the booze, check out thesoberclub.com.